Every year, October is designated Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month. Every year, I light 4 candles, one each in remembrance of my babies lost in early miscarriage, one in remembrance of my son lost in late miscarriage, and one for my nieces, nephews, and friends' babies that passed away too soon. Losing a child in any stage of pregnancy or infancy is a tragic loss that truly has no words to describe. Grief has been described many different ways, like a stifling blanket, like fog, like your insides are being ripped out, like your heart is going to burst, like numbness. Grief is a normal response to difficult and tragic things that happen in our lives. It can come on like a tidal wave all at once when you least expect it. It can feel like it's all the time. There's no set timeline for grief. Everybody is different in the way that we grieve and the way that we move through difficult events in our lives. But that grieving process is so necessary to give ourselves time and space to work through all of the nuances and intricacies that loss can bring. This October, I would like to recognize and remember all of the parents who have lost babies and children gone too soon. I am so very sorry for your loss. If you need a place to share about your children, to share about your experiences, to share about what you went through, I would be honored to hear your story and to hold space for you. You can comment, or if you need a private place, you can email me at the email address below. It can be hard to open up to people about pregnancy and infant loss, especially when you don't know how the other person is going to respond. There are so many well-meaning people who say things like, at least you weren't that far along, or at least you could get pregnant, or at least you weren't too attached yet, or it must have been meant to be, or your baby's in a better place. The sad reality is that most people just don't know how to respond in times of grief and crisis. And I get that it's awkward. It's a hard thing to know how to be there for other people, but it's something that we need to take the time to learn so that we can hold space for other people. So if that is you and you're feeling alone in your grief, I just want to say that I see you, I hear you. Your story is valuable. Your story is important. Your babies, your pregnancies were valuable and important and worth remembering. So I can only speak personally to early miscarriage and late miscarriage, but I do just want to say if that is something that you are going through right now or something that you have already been through, please remember that it is okay to give yourself compassion. It is okay. And it's so important to take the time to rest, physically, emotionally, to give yourself the space that you need, whether your loss was 2 weeks ago or 2 years ago. Be kind to your body after everything that it's been through. Emotional healing might take longer than the physical healing. Give yourself compassion there too. It is okay. There is no timeline for grief. Journaling can be a great way to get some of your thoughts out on paper, to process and work through some things. And I do recommend, if at all possible, to find a safe person that you can talk to, whether that's a friend or a therapist, or if you want to email me, my email is below. And there's so many great ways to memorialize and remember your pregnancy, to remember your baby. You can plant some flowers, plant a tree, make a shadow box full of memories, saving some of the things from your baby, their blanket, their hat, your pregnancy test, or some remembrance jewelry. It's so important to recognize your body's signals and to be listening to what your body and your mind need, especially during times of grief. And if you have not experienced pregnancy or infant loss yourself, but you have a loved one or friend or family member who has, I encourage you to remember that most of the time, just showing up is enough. Don't feel like you have to fix anything, because you can't. Don't feel like you have to come up with just the words to say. Just be there. Brené Brown has an awesome quote that says, "My favorite question when I've got someone close to me who's really grieving a lot is to say, what does love look like right now? What does support look like right now?" And sometimes they'll hear, "You know what? Can you run my carpool for me on Wednesday? Can I cuss and scream at you on the phone twice a week?" Showing up is what's important, and being there for your friend or loved one for whatever it is that they need to support them and walk with them through this difficult time. In the description below, I will put some links to some helpful articles and videos that I have found. And I would love to hear from any other resources that you might have for pregnancy and infant loss awareness. And again, to anyone watching this who has experienced this, I see you. You're not alone. And even when our babies are gone too soon, their light, their memory, their joy will continue forever.